Welcome back, everybody. This week we're going to talk about masturbation and all the ways you can do it. A porn ban, it seems to be what everybody's talking about on Twitter these past couple days. There's a conservative pundit, Matt Walsh, wrote an article about it. And also I saw a poll. I don't know, I forget exactly who tweeted the poll out, but 7,000 people responded to this poll, and 77% of the respondents said that they wanted to ban porn. Additional 15 said we need more restrictions on porn, so that's more than 90% of people who responded to this poll want some sort of curtailment on porn. I don't know if that speaks to the people who I follow on Twitter or my Twitter community, but people are talking about porn, about masturbation and what it does to the brain of a young man, how it can be damaging as drugs, so let's ban it like drugs. But I think this discussion about porn and banning it may be an indication of what masturbation really is, and it may just not have something to do with porn. You know, a great story that indicates what masturbation is, because it's the Christmas season, is, again, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I know I talked about it last week, but it's a great movie, guys. So just relax. Let's keep talking about this movie and how wonderful it is. But there's a great masturbation scene in that movie. No, I don't have some X-rated one that you don't have. X-rated. Like it's from the 70s. But it's when Clark puts all the lights up on his house, right? He covers his house in lights. When does he do this? It is after the family arrives, the first existential crisis that he has. We didn't really get into it too much last week, but that's really the first existential crisis that Clark has in this movie, is when his family shows up. He can't really deal with it. He can't really deal with reality. So what? He distracts himself with a behavior that is self-gratifying. Yeah, it's a distraction, and it's pointless, and that's what masturbation is. Now, tugging at your wing is one kind of masturbation, but there are many different kinds. And putting a bunch of lights up on your house to distract yourself from the family, from your family and your issues. The Christmas bonus that should be coming, it should have come already, but it hasn't. Distract yourself from all these issues. You masturbate. And again, it doesn't just involve sitting in front of YouPorn or RedTube. Lots of different ways to do it. Putting lights up in your house is one way. And then what I like about this scene in this movie is it really indicates how we remove ourselves, what really is the cure to masturbation. And it has nothing to do with banning anything. Banning lights, banning a certain amount of lights in your house wouldn't cure Clark of his neurosis. What he needs to do is get to the root of the issue. And yeah, the movie does a great job of showing this, and it's his connection with his wife. I mean, who's the person who really figures out how to turn the lights on, so to speak? Obviously, overwhelming symbolism there, but it's his wife. And it's his wife by understanding, different parts of the house, the metaphoric house that Clark doesn't quite have access to. It's his wife's connection with Clark. And of course, she turns the light on, the switch in the garage. And I don't think it's a coincidence that she flips the switch up. Again, overwhelming symbolism. And then what happens when the lights turn on? It indicates what happens when you do create honest, secure connections with people. Is it can be offensive, especially to the yuppies, Todd and Margot, who may not have their priorities straight. But I think this is just another indication that, look, masturbation isn't just tonguing at your wing. There's lots of ways to do it. Again, self-gratifying, it's a distraction, and if it's ultimately pointless, then it is masturbating. And there's lots of different forms of this. Drugs and alcohol, that kind of addiction, that can be seen as masturbatory. Arguments, especially arguments on Twitter that go nowhere, you're not really listening to anybody, that's masturbatory. Or whenever you convince yourself that you get righteous indignation, self-righteous indignation, by telling yourself how wrong or how incorrect somebody is. So because the other person's incorrect, that means you and all your points and all your emotional baggage, that must be correct and worthy of validation. Started a YouTube channel. Obviously, I had to say that. Another very popular form of masturbation. Not when I do it. It's different when I do it. But when other people start a YouTube channel, that's masturbatory. But another form of masturbation that people do is controlling others. seeing how somebody else could be living their life in a better way, and you could be correct. The other person could be living their life in a better way, but it becomes masturbatory when you try to control other people, especially as Matt Walsh is doing here through government decree. So it's not technically ironic, but it is paradoxical that Matt Walsh, in coming out and wanting to ban masturbation, the act of doing that is in itself masturbation. And we do this, right? We do this to distract ourselves from our own issues, from our own pain. Usually it's anxiety. Masturbation in all its forms is a way to soothe the pain that is anxiety. Anxiety we don't know we have, anxiety we don't know how to manage. And when we don't manage our anxiety, it manifests in poor boundary. We don't have a strong sense of self, so we become tyrants. Like tyrants is like a different form of the little boy. And actually, when you see a 2-year-old, he goes around and bosses people around, which is fine for a little boy to do, right? That's how he learns to socialize. But when we don't learn how to manage our anxiety, and it creates these holes in our boundary, we don't have a strong sense of self. We don't have a clear distinction between who we are and who other people are. We just want to go and tell people what to do. Look, I know the problems with masturbation, especially excessive, porn masturbation. And look, that's right. Like, I agree. There are real problems with that. And I think this generation, especially the maybe younger millennials and Gen Z, I mean, the stats on erectile dysfunction in young men under 30, that speaks to the, I think it was like 2% of erectile dysfunction was from people under 30, young men under 30 in 2002. And then by 2015, it's like 25% of the cases were young men younger than 30. So, okay, so clearly there's a problem here, but going around and trying to control people by creating laws, that's not really the solution. The solution, again, as indicated by National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, is connection. Not necessarily a sexual connection, as indicated by Beverly D'Angelo, flipping up the light switch, but any kind of connection, right? That's because that's how we manage our anxiety, and that's how we create an identity. That's how we can distinguish ourselves from other people psychologically. But yeah, the problem isn't with masturbation. The problem isn't with young men going on YouPorn, spending 3 hours on YouPorn every day. The problem is a deeper cultural issue that no law, no ban, no government decree, no prince, no king, the king who Matt Walsh thinks that he is, that doesn't solve it. It doesn't get to the root of the issue. The root of the issue is, managing anxiety, and the way that we do that is through connection, through the development of our own boundaries. Now, a lot of people will talk about, you got to get good managing your emotions, and once you do that, or at least sitting with your emotions, and once you do that, the masturbation, the porn wing kind of masturbation will take care of itself. And that's true, but here in Animus Empire, we go a step a little bit more concrete and deeper. We get both concrete and deeper at the same time, and that is by actually telling you what emotions are, deconstructing what emotions are, what they must fundamentally be, what the structure of an emotion is, what anxiety is, what you can do with anxiety. And then it becomes a lot easier. It's the map of anxiety. And once you have the map, it's a lot easier to know, what you need to manage. Makes it easier to manage, easier to know what you need to do. And once you do that, once you manage those emotions, then the masturbation will naturally dissipate. Great place to start. AnimusEmpire.com/ebooks, my book, Man's Guide to Psychology, deconstructs emotions, and arguably takes the first step in unifying the field of psychology. And I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And always remember that just because you're doing no FAP does not mean that you've stopped masturbating.